Hello and welcome back to Asia Now. My name is Alex and I want to begin this video by thanking Red Bart with a $25 donation to the channel. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. He's also donated $100 on 2 separate occasions. It really means a lot to me because YouTube is how I make my money. Of course, the ads that you guys watch in these videos is what pays my bills. So thank you so much. But I do want to mention that YouTube does take half of that super thanks you guys donate. So if you want all the proceeds to go to me, I'm going to leave my link down below. Buy me a coffee. You can go ahead and show some love through that link. That way that big company like YouTube doesn't take half your money and half my money. So all your support is much appreciated. In this video, I'll tell you about 38 foreigners arrested in Multipurpose, Philippines. Another 190 people arrested for illegal activities, many of whom are foreigners, an unknown illness, hurricanes, and much more, beginning with the USD to Philippine exchange rate. The peso actually closed at 57 pesos per the dollar. So if you're earning USD or have USD, your money goes a little bit further than yesterday. Let's jump straight into our main story. On October 9th in Multipurpose, Cebu, 38 undocumented Chinese nationals were arrested at a resort in Barangay Multipurpose. The arrest has triggered after the resort named Happy Bear requested a stronger internet connection, which raised suspicions of illegal activities linked to Philippine offshore gaming operators, POGOs. Multipurpose Mayor Inconsentes Tingting ordered an inspection of the resort where only Chinese nationals were found, none of whom could speak English. Although the resort was legally operating with proper permits, authorities are remaining vigilant of possible illegal uses of such establishments. Mayor Cabaron has also instructed local officials to closely monitor the areas for similar activities. Incredible. Could you believe that they got caught for asking for stronger internet? I guess this just shows that strong internet is not everything in this life. All jokes aside, I guess kind of a interesting way to get caught doing illegal activity. Imagine calling somebody, hey, can we get stronger internet? And that like raises a red flag to somebody that comes and investigates you and you get caught for being undocumented and not even being able to speak English. I'm very curious how they got through. I guess they must have come as tourists. Let's go on to our next story. Staying on a similar topic, the Bureau of Immigration in the Philippines has arrested 192 foreign nationals involved in illegal online scam activities and other immigration violations. The joint operation carried out October 3rd in Pasay City targeted individuals of various nationalities, including Chinese, Vietnamese, who were working illegally in the country. The authorities are continuing their investigation, and the commissioner highlighted the success of the operation as part of the effort to protect the country's borders and enforce immigration laws. Even more people getting arrested in the Philippines, especially Chinese, committing crimes of offshore gaming. Speaking of offshore gaming, a mayor was suspended by the Ombudsman office. Here's the full story. The office of the Ombudsman has suspended Porac, Pampanga Mayor Jamie Capil, and 10 other officials for 6 months without pay due to alleged gross neglect of duty. This relates to their failure to detect illegal activities at the Philippines offshore gaming operator site raided by police in June, which led to the rescue of undocumented foreign workers. Vice Mayor Francis Tamayo and several councilors are also included in the suspension. Porac Councilor Myla Claret has been appointed acting mayor. Despite the suspension, many of those involved are running for election in 2025. Another official in the Philippines being caught for not doing the job properly. I know a little bit closer to Cebu, of course, Mayor Rama, Mike Rama, going through that right now. Let's go on to our next story. Let's go and talk about some more positive news about South Korea and the Philippines and tourism. South Korea has agreed with the Philippines on strengthening the tourism cooperation from 2024 to 2029. This was made official through a memo of understanding signed on October 7th by the Philippine Tourism Secretary Cristina Garcia Fresco and South Korea's Minister of Culture, Sports and Tourism, Yoo In-chan. The signing was witnessed by Philippines President Marcos and Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol. The agreement will focus on enhancing tourism by sharing knowledge, improving safety, and promoting each other's country tourism industry. New joint efforts include developing sustainable and green tourism initiatives, supporting tourism fairs, and encouraging investment in hotels, resorts, and cruise. A special group will be formed to make sure both countries follow through on their agreement. South Korea is already the top contributor to the Philippines international tourism, with over 1.2 million South Korean visitors in 2024, making up more than 27% of the tourists internationally. Whoa, I had no idea. I know I've seen a lot of Koreans around, but I had no clue it was the number one basically country that comes into the Philippines. 27%, that just means 1 out of every 4 individuals come to the country basically as a foreigner is a Korean. Very interesting for me. I had no idea. Also, leave your comments down below. What do you think of this agreement? What do you think can come from it? Obviously, a very positive move from the Philippines, trying to strengthen that tourism industry. Speaking of strengthening the tourism industry, here's a look at the newly completed multi-purpose building in Barangay Santa Rosa, Olango Island, Lapu-Lapu City, Cebu, that had its official ribbon cutting ceremony on Thursday. The facility, worth 5 million peso, will serve as a Lapu-Lapu City's first tourist resort area. It will have a pasalubong, which is like a souvenir center, and a coffee shop. Fantastic, right? So it looks like Philippines is making moves. I know the president always is in different countries promoting the country, the Philippines, and I've seen some improvements myself. Bridges being built and like tourist rest areas like this, internet getting stronger, Korea and them making moves. So I feel like tourism is going to be a big thing in the Philippines if they continue with this trend and actually meet these project deadlines. Okay, let's go back to some misbehavioral stuff, okay? The Department of Agriculture Philippines on Wednesday announced that the beer plant industry has blacklisted 3 agricultural food importers for their alleged involvement in illegal trade. The DA named the blacklisted importers as LVM Grains Enterprises, Kaiselish Consumer Goods Trading, and Golden Rays Consumer Goods Trading. Yeah, so you and I might know about like small, like let's say scams or people trying to make money off each other, maybe overcharging you for a taxi fare or giving you a price that's different than a local. It happens in a lot of countries, but there's so many bigger fish in the sea, bigger players that do things on a much larger scale. So I'm glad that I'm glad that this department of the Philippines government was able to catch these people and stop them and ban them. Yesterday we talked about a couple lists, and let's talk about a survey today. A recent survey by social weather stations revealed that over half of Filipino families, around 16.3 million, consider themselves poor as of September. This is a slight increase from June, when 16 million families felt this way. The self-rated poverty rate grew significantly in Metro Manila, rising from 39 to 52, and other regions show slight changes, with the Visayas and Mindanao still having the highest poverty rates at 62 and 67 respectively. In addition, 13% of families see themselves as borderline poor, while 28% do not consider themselves poor. The survey also highlighted that 9% of the families are newly poor, meaning they did not previously think of themselves as poor. In terms of food poverty, 46% of families said they struggle to afford enough food, with Metro Manila seeing the highest jump in this category. The average amount of families believe they need to stop considering themselves poor dropped from 12,000 from a previous 15,000 pesos a month. The survey, conducted with 1,500 adults across different regions, has margins of 2.5% error. Well, with margins of error like that, you can't really say that it has increased since June, last time they did the survey. Also, I'm wondering, why is the Weather Network or the Weather Survey doing this survey at all? Besides the point, 1,500 people from a country of 115 million people is not a very large number. It's going to depend on who you ask. I'm not a big fan of these types of surveys. I don't think like portrays an accurate thing. Of course, it's poverty. Of course, people are going to say, I don't feel as rich as somebody else. Plus, where do you draw that line? Because according to the Philippine government, just last month, they said that 50 pesos is enough for 3 meals. Right? So is that like the line of poverty? Is it like my line of poverty, which I think maybe, let's say 500 or 1,000 a month? Depends, right? It's very circumstantial. So I wouldn't heavily focus on surveys like this personally, but I want to know your thoughts. What do you think of this new survey? 1,500 people being surveyed, and basically 16 million families think they're living under the poverty line. I'd love to hear from you guys. In some entertainment news, and a little bit closer to home, on YouTube. So the Shorts feature on YouTube will be extended from maximum of 1 minute to 3 minutes beginning October 15th. The update, long requested by creators, is part of the platform's effort to encourage users to make more engaging videos, at least in terms of duration or length. YouTube is also adding more updates to its short features. These updates are focused on user creativity. Users will have easier access to YouTube clips of various kinds directly from the Shorts camera. Basically, it's all about money, right? The longer the video, the more ads YouTube can fit in there, right? So I assume, like, obviously they create the Shorts to compete with like Instagram Reels, Facebook Reels, and also, what's the other one? TikTok, obviously. So, but I think right now, the algorithm is always changing. The whole YouTube industry platform, the whole thing's always changed, so it's getting more and more difficult for people to continue to be relevant in the space. But I wonder what this means for ads, right? Will you start to see ads on these Shorts? If so, I think people will lose interest. I don't really know what's going to happen, but I'm curious to see what happens to my kind of job. Let's go on to our next story. Next up, Hurricane Milton hit Florida as a Category 3, bringing winds over 100 miles per hour and heavy rains, especially in St. Petersburg, which saw flash flooding and damage to Tropicana Field. Though Tampa was spared a direct hit, the storm caused widespread destruction, knocking out power for over 2.6 million people and toppling cranes. Milton made landfall near Sarasota, south of Tampa, before weakening to Category 1 storm. Before landfall, tornadoes destroyed homes, especially in Fort Pierce, where lives were lost. Authorities had issued evacuation orders for over 7 million people, but not all could leave. Many faced challenges finding safe routes or accommodations. In response, Florida deployed National Guard members, utility workers, and patrols to assist. Flooding and dangerous conditions persist inland, with authorities warning that fatalities are likely. Despite evacuation pleas, some residents chose to ride out the storm, hunkering down in their homes. I can't judge. I have never been in the situation. I don't know what was going on in people's minds, but I think if you actually had the choice, you probably would go ahead and find safe shelter. Also, one thing I want to say online, if you're looking at some of these video footages, it was very difficult to find a credible one. A lot of people are trying to sensationalize this whole thing, try to get views and clicks and all that. So be careful about that, which one you actually think. Some of them were actually even clips from movies that I've seen. So make sure that the videos you're watching are actually from this. If you want to know what's actually going on, let's go on to our next story. Staying internationally, Istanbul, a Turkish airline pilot perished after collapsing mid-flight, forcing the Turkish national carrier to make an emergency landing in New York. The airline said, wow, can you imagine being on a flight and that happens? I guess this is why they have two pilots. And in Thailand, October 9th, Director General of Thailand's Department of Disease Control announced that the country is increasing health checks at major airports. This follows an outbreak of an unknown illness in Afghanistan, where over 500 people have fallen sick and 2 have passed away. The illness causes severe fatigue, muscle pain, diarrhea, and high fever. The DDC has instructed airport staff to monitor for symptoms, especially among travelers from Afghanistan. Airline crews are also advised to wear protective gear and watch for signs of illness. Passengers showing symptoms will receive additional screening to prevent the disease from spreading. I hope this is not deja vu all over again. Luckily, there aren't too many Afghans traveling to Thailand, except for me. And now it's time for a segment, Yesterday Today, where I read some of the most popular comments regarding yesterday. Starting off with Red Bart's comments, especially for contributing 25 bucks to the channel. Thank you so much. And this is what he says. My wife went to Cebu Institute of Technology. The only thing they specialized in was teachers never showing up and sending your young women to internet companies where they are sexually harassed. 100% true. Thanks, Alex, for telling it how it is. I have a daughter going into law school next year. I hope she has a better experience than my wife did. There are just issues here for girls and women. They need support, not because they are weak. They need support because they are outnumbered. He also says, as far as sharks go, they gravitate to the areas of the ocean where they are comfortable with temperatures and there's lots of food. If the sharks in the area are not getting food because it has moved, then the sharks will find other food and ultimately, unfortunately, people. I was a scuba diving instructor for many years. This was general knowledge. It is only going to get worse. Wow, cool. Scuba diving. I was never brave enough. First of all, I'm not a great swimmer. I mean, I swim, but barely. But scuba diving, that's a whole nother level of being frightened, to me at least. Cannot breathe down there, right? I can't trust a tank no matter what somebody says. I mean, maybe one day I'll try it. Let's read another comment. Actually, something I'm going to try is say a word and see if it gets banned or demonetized by YouTube. If so, I'm going to have to change it later. But a tule is a gun, right? That's what I couldn't say yesterday's video. I thought I might get like a yellow sticker or whatever. But a tule is a gun, and I refer to this because growing up, I listened to a lot of hip hop. I mean, I guess now it's old school. So I made a list of 100 songs. I didn't make it. ChatGPT made a list of 100 songs with the word tule in it. I was so surprised to see so many new artists being on that list. So yeah, a tule is a gun in reference to yesterday's video where that man was packing a tule in a suitcase. David says, those 4 Americans who thought they would not be caught in the Philippines had a surprise. The Philippines is a country where technology exists. This is why the Philippines is #1 with the internet connections. I am so glad they were caught. Yeah, I'm glad too. And I think what you mean with #1 with the internet connections is that Filipinos spend the most time on their phones, I believe, from across any country in the world. Let's read one more. Admin says, bravo for the Philippines Bureau of Immigration for being stricter now to all types of tourists. We do not want to accept fugitives, criminals, and PDF files in our country. I agree. With that being said, if you guys enjoyed this video, haven't had a chance to subscribe yet, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. It really motivates me to make these videos. Maybe one day we reach 10,000 subscribers. And until then, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye.